Yo, 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 what is up, everybody? Chris here from Fake Sports News, Axis Rotation, however the flip you know me on these interwebs. And today I'm going to be bringing you guys a quick preview of what to expect going into Week 1 of Stage 3 of the CDL. So, to kick things off, we had a few roster changes that I want to get into before we start. So, Carolina was a team that was rumored to be making changes, but no changes were made. That's something to note as we watch them throughout the stage. Cloud9 was not linked to any changes. Boston was not. Faze was not. LAG is another team that made changes. They brought in, of course, Priest. I'm sorry, not Priest. They brought in Fellow and Johnny. And you guys know I have a soft spot for Johnny because I was like the world's biggest Vegas Legion fan and Paris Legion fan before they became Vegas. So Miami Heretics, another team that made a change. I really love this change. They, of course, added Super in place of Lucky, so that was a great change for them. I really like Super, Rancor, and Real together. Those guys play challengers for a long time, and they have great chem. The Minnesota Rokkr made the team change that we all expected them to, getting rid of Paul X. But surprisingly, they picked up Kenny, who was dropped by Optic, as we all know by now. Optic Texas, of course, brought back Hook. Kenny's gone. He's on Minnesota now. And Skies is still there. Pred is gone. More on that in a second. The team right now is Shotzi, Dashy, Hook, and Skies. Ultra didn't make a change. Vancouver didn't make a change. Falcons did. So Falcons, they now have Pred, Exnid, Priesta, and Arcides under head coach Clayster. So much better team than what they had before. Exnid, you guys know I've been singing his praises all year. I feel like he was the shining star of that team after Kicks left. And yeah, happy to see him getting some help. So without further ado, let's get into the Pickems, where we will kick things off with the Vancouver Surge taking on the new look Vegas Falcons with Pred, Arcides, and Priesta. I don't think that the Vegas Falcons get their first series win here. I think it goes to the Vancouver Surge. Vancouver Surge obviously are coming off of a top 3 at the last event. And yeah, I'm sorry, top 2. They made it to the finals and got 0-4. Yeah, so they look good. Let's see what the community's thinking. So some people are backing Falcons for the upset. I mean, I don't see it happening. I think there's potential they push a game 5, just having, Alec, who's been a demon in challengers, Johnny, wrong team. But Priest, I just don't know. I don't know. He's not been having a good year here. He hasn't won a series on land in, I think, 2 years. So just not crazy about that pickup. Maybe he'll be proven wrong, but yeah, I mean, against the Vancouver Surge, it just got second place. I think Vancouver handles business pretty decisively. In our next matchup, this is going to be an interesting one. We have the Minnesota Rokkr with Kenny taking on Optic Texas. And, I like a bit of revenge with my coffee. So I'm going to back Minnesota to get a huge upset here. Why not, right? I mean, I feel like Kenny's going to be playing a lot better on a Minnesota team that's very fundamental. As you guys know, I wasn't super high on the Skies to Optic move just because he got dropped by LAG, who's doing absolutely terrible. Yeah, with that all in mind, I expect Geo to be unlocked once again. I expect Nero to be unlocked once again, and I expect Estrel to be unlocked once again with Kenny. And just his intangibles. Like, if Octane says that Kenny's one of the best players that he's ever played with in terms of comms, then yeah, I like that a lot. So yeah, we're going to support the upset here just because I like the one-person change that Rokkr made. I do not like the one-person change that Optic made after getting rid of Kenny. I just feel like it's not going to necessarily address all of their issues. A lot of their issues were not really just 2 players. It was the whole team just playing wrong. So yeah, against a team that's really fundamentally sound and looking for an inlet to regain and kind of regain that, I guess, top 6 kind of identity that they were kind of emerging with in the earlier stages of this year. Yeah, I think they will definitely get this get back, and people are going to be surprised by that pick for me, but I just feel it. I feel it, man. I'm going with it. Yeah, so just to explain you guys why I'm going with what I feel before we get into the Toronto Ultra versus Faze series, I just want to let you guys know, put some trust in your boy. Oh, wait. Yeah, I mean, Major 1, I was 139th in the world. Major 2, I was 129th in the world. And how do I see? Okay, for the whole year, I'm 25 in the world. You guys can see me without scrolling too far. See, here I am. Trust in your boy. I'm trusting the upsets, hoping to get to number 1. And the only way to do that is by calling some perfect upsets. So, in our last series of the Friday matches, we have my home team, Atlanta Faze, taking on the Toronto Ultra. Faze with their Dark Fiber, I feel like they'll probably just take this one pretty decisively. They also just won Major 2, so they just look to be a step ahead. I don't know what they would really be trying to practice here. Maybe we see Dealership come into the mix. Maybe we see Rewind come back for the series. But yeah, should be a pretty fun one. I'm expecting Faze to just play their best maps and just try to win this because Ultra, they're coming off of a top 3. So, and they beat LA Thieves decisively to make that top 3. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like they'll have this really, really bookmarked, and they're going to be really game planned going into this. So, in our next matchup on Saturday, our first matchup of Saturday, we have the Vegas Falcons taking on the new look Miami Heretics with Super. Yeah, I mean, I really like this new Miami Heretics squad. I feel like with Super, they will have the slang that they severely lacked with Lucky at times. And yeah, I mean, I just have them getting a surprising 3-1 for most of the community. But if you guys are tapped into challengers, this is not really that surprising. This team with Eric Boom was one of the best teams in the EU region for challengers for a reason. So yeah, I like this team. I think the players have only gotten better. Obviously, Rancor and Real have been pros for a minute now, so I like that, and that's why I'm taking Super and the new look Heretics to get the dub here and start off the stage 1-0. I just feel like this is a good look for them. Let's see what the community thinks, though. So 80% of people think that Heretics win, and 20% of people think Vegas Falcons get their first series win here. Interesting. Okay. So, yeah, in our next series, we have the Carolina Royal Ravens taking on the new look LAG boys. I'm going to back LAG here just because with Carolina's situation, they're trying to pick up Kenny and drop Vivid. I feel like the team chem is just going to be in a very odd place after that. I mean, obviously he's going to try to do his job, but I don't know. That's just kind of a weird one to be left on with your teammates. So, yeah, I'm going to back LAG here. I do think that Johnny and Fellow will have a very transformative effect on this team. Yeah, I feel like it was a great change from them. They definitely are one of my favorites coming out of this roster change period. I feel like they made necessary improvements to get better in the areas they needed to. Same thing with Rokkr. More IGL from Kenny. A little bit more slang. Thing is with Paul, like they're so fundamentally sound that the other guys bought into the system really well. And when they would have good games, they just needed Paul to do halfway decent, which I expect Kenny to do. And it led to victories for them. So that's why I also like the LAG boys. I feel like Fellow and Johnny will give them the slang that they were severely lacking before. And I feel like Lunars and Kismet will look like much different players. Kismet's been playing great this season. Lunars has looked great at times. It was just a bad team and a bad system. So we're changing up the team and the system at this point. So I think it'll bode well for the LAG boys. In our next series, we have Optic taking on Cloud9. Yeah, I mean, I see this being a Cloud9 dub. Cloud9, they looked really good at the last major. From what we saw on LAN, that team, with the expectations being so low, have definitely made a lot of clear improvements recently. And I don't see that stopping against a new Optic team that's still finding their footing. I mean, it's very possible that Optic could come out very hot and they could look like a great team. They've gotten a little bit more practice with Caesar Skies, but now Hook's back in the mix, so new team, new situation. I think it'll be we'll call it a 3-2 for the Optic Cloud9 series, and we'll call it a 3-2 for the Optic Minnesota Rokkr series, just because it'll help me sleep at night. In our next series, we have the Boston Breach taking on the Toronto Ultra, and the much improved Breach, I do like what I've seen from them recently, but as Ghosty so famously said recently, you guys won one match against LA Thieves, and then you got double bopped. So I'm going to back the Toronto Ultra boys. Let's see what the community's thinking with this one. So about 90% of people agree. I'm not going to boost that one. Okay, so starting off our Sunday matches, we have the Boston Breach taking on the Minnesota Rokkr with Kenny. Yeah, I think Rokkr have a 2-0 weekend, guys. I do. I really do. I'm making one of my crazy Chris calls. And I have a feeling, so, we're just going to rock with Rokkr and Kenny. I love Rokkr. They've always shown me a lot of love on Twitter and stuff. They even sent me some free merch, so, yeah, I love Rokkr, man. But, yeah, I think they get it done this weekend. I think Kenny's going to look great. I think he just needed a new scenario and a new team. And I think it's going to pay dividends for him. I think it's going to pay dividends for Pred as well. But I think it's going to take time for that Vegas Falcons team to really gel. They made a huge personnel change. They changed up 3 of their players. So those guys getting familiar is going to take at least a week, So that's why I'm not predicting the Vegas upset just yet. I think maybe next week, based on who they play, that might be their chance. Now, in our second to last matchup of the weekend, we have my home team, Atlanta Faze, taking on the Carolina Royal Ravens. I see this being a DoorDash for the ages, ladies and gentlemen, just because, like I said, Reese Vivid is probably not feeling that great knowing that his teammates tried to drop him for Kenny a little bit over a week ago. Yeah, I mean, I expect him to be a professional in play, but I do see that having some impact on the way that this team performs. I mean, chemistry is a thing, and they're human beings, so I feel like that could have an impact. So, in our last match for the weekend, we have the LA Thieves taking on the Vancouver Surge, and I'm expecting this to be an LA Thieves dub. I feel like after losing so decisively at the last major, they're going to be really locked in and zeroed in on all of their mistakes. So that's why I think this one will be a surprise to some, but more of the same for the rest of us. I think it'll be a 3-1 in favor of the Thieves, and I think that's how the weekend goes. So, yeah, I think we have one upset with the Rokkr versus Optic series. Potential upset, depending on how you look at things, with the Cloud9 versus Optic series. And definitely an upset based on recent form of these two teams in the last stage in the LAG versus Raven series. But obviously, roster changes have made a difference in most of these scenarios. So, yeah, that'll just about wrap it up for me, guys, finally this time. And we're going to lock it in. So, hopefully, your boy can make the climb to #1 in the world for all of the CDL pick'ems. That would be absolutely fire. That'd be a great way to end the season. And to end things off, if you guys are looking for prize picks, be sure to join the Discord link down below. We have a great community, and we win a lot. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you have a great morning, noon, or night, wherever you may be on this beautiful planet. Now, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Once again, this is Chris from Fake Sports News, your access to rotation, and I will see you on the next one. Peace!